This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today we are back after a one-day hiatus. We talked about the Kristaps Porzingis trade. We had an emergency podcast for that, his trade to Dallas. If you do want to hear our thoughts, go over and check it out. We pull things up on iTunes, we'll pull things up on YouTube, youtube.com/most valuable podcast reel. It was a fun hour and 11 minutes, so definitely go check that out. But today we are talking about Anthony Davis. Where will he go? Lonzo Ball, where will he go? If he will go, how does he fit if he goes? And then we'll wrap it up with Kyrie Irving. Will he go? So it's a lot of will he, won't he, will they, won't they? In this podcast. We are super excited to be talking about this, closing in on the trade deadline, closing in on the All-Star game. I believe next week will be our trade deadline recap because I think we'll probably be recording on Friday, and that is on the it's on February 7th. We'll be recording on the 8th. So we'll be doing a recap of all that stuff, unless something massive happens, like an AD trade. We will have an emergency podcast out for that. Other than that, we have the mock draft, All-Star weekend. Yeah. We're going to have to move that from the 15th to the 16th, though. I just remember that now. I need to tell you guys.
It's just that weekend.
Yeah, just telling you. I know we have the 15th on that. Most likely that will be a Saturday podcast. But that's the, at least, opening. And let's jump in before so. If you are listening to us on iTunes, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. We gave shout-outs to everybody, the 5 people who've given us reviews on iTunes in January so far. We have 44 reviews. If you have the time, please go over. It means an absolute ton to us to give us that review, that 5 stars. It means a ton. But boys, let's jump into Anthony Davis. Where will he go? This has been a developing situation for about the past week. Anthony Davis has told the New Orleans Pelicans that he has no plans to re-sign with them once his contract's up and that he would like to be traded. I think now the question is, will he be traded before the deadline? Will this linger into the offseason? And obviously the big question of where will he go? Now, this has been a topic that's been developing for a while now. You probably have heard a lot of takes about the Lakers and Celtics and the Raptors getting in on this, a ton of teams getting in on this. So we'll talk about our predictions of where he will go first. But let's start off on the East Coast. We'll start off in Boston, mainly because new news came out today. Anthony Davis's dad came out and said, Boston, I would never want my son to play for Boston after what they'd done to Isaiah Thomas. No loyalty. Guy gives his heart and soul, and they trade him. Anyone can print that. That was a text to Ramona Shelburne. And also, there's another thing as well coming out that I think it was from our good old boy Shams saying the Celtics are not a preferred destination long-term for New Orleans star Anthony Davis, and in Davis's mind, remain a rental option. So let's start there. If you are Boston and he does not get traded at the trade deadline, and you're not trading Kyrie for AD straight up, and you're taking this into the offseason, and you hear this, that Anthony Davis will be a rental for 1 year, he has no plans on signing with you, his family will not back him signing in Boston, what do you think about now pushing all of your chips towards AD, possibly Jason Tatum, possibly the 3 picks that you currently have right now in the first round, could be 4 depending on Memphis. What do you think about pushing your chips towards Anthony Davis with this news coming out, Dave?
I'm a little hesitant. I think that a lot of this comes down to, you can come out and say something publicly, but you've got that year to convince him basically while he's under contract. So, it's a great organization. Yes, the Isaiah Thomas thing is not going to look so bright to a lot of people. I mean, it felt dirty. I'll be honest. It felt dirty from the outside. I'm not a Boston fan, so I don't have the same connection to Isaiah, but I understand business is business at some point. But from the outside, you're just like, you kind of did him wrong. Like, you might have taken away that guy's payday.
My thing with that and with Isaiah Thomas is I even up to that trade with Kyrie, I was very much on the side of Boston of you're not going to re-sign a guy who's had hip issues, who's that small, and has only had 1 season of an MVP performance.
You were quite vocal about that,
and
yes.
You're going to start paying him 5 years, 4 years, and he's going to be 34 years old, and he won't be able to hold up. Well, let's see what happens since he's gotten traded. He's played maybe 30 games, 40 games?
Yeah.
I mean, exactly what I thought happened. So I think that was...
right,
the loyalty
but that's still
wasn't
that's still the thing.
To
Is do you in today's NBA, do you expect teams to be loyal to players? And I think that perception's changing over time that, the players have all the power and it's just the contract is just a means to an end almost.
And the thing, and I want to interject really quick because I forgot to ask you this, is you say the players have all the power.
They do.
With me, I have one thing that I kind of have to go off on a random tangent and just get this off my chest.
Sure.
That fine, the $50 fine that they fined AD for,
They're not $50
for $50,000.
It's a cool $50.
Is basically
though,
to me hypocritical and bullshit. Which I get, it's in the CBA. I'm not saying like, oh, they shouldn't have. It's in the contract. Of course, they had to do it. But to me, it's hypocritical because if the NBA is going to go, oh, we're a players' league and we're all good with movement, and a guy like Kevin Durant can move to Golden State if he wants to. A guy like LeBron
a free agent.
Can go from here to there.
Free agent.
Yeah, but for me, if you're going to go into that, you cannot, in my mind, get mad at a guy for talking to another guy who may be his friend and then be like, hey, it would be great to play with each other. Like, it would be great because if I was talking to you, let's say I'm on the Lakers, you're on the Pelicans, and you're unhappy with your situation, because that's what's going on. If you're unhappy with your situation, of course, A, you're going to want out, and B, of course, I'm going to want you to come play for me. I just think it comes down to, and this is the Pelicans ownership, if you wanted AD to stay, go ahead and be a better ownership and build around him. That's why with Boston, if I'm Danny Ainge, this whole, what AD's father said, doesn't change my situation of trading for AD. What it changes is, I'm not going to give up as much to get him.
Before we get to the Boston stuff, let's go to the things that you said. One, I disagree with the tampering stuff when it comes to the players. The players, I think, have too much power. I've vocalized this during the Kawhi stuff. I think they have too much power. And, you could say that teams were disloyal to Isaiah Thomas, but that's business. And it's also business what Kawhi did last year. It's business what Anthony Davis is doing. It's business that LeBron James left Cleveland twice. It's business on both sides. It's no longer, in the NFL, I get the loyalty part. That's more of a cutthroat business. In the NBA, I don't really feel so. There's some bad situations like Jay Crowder being traded after I believe his mother died. And obviously Isaiah Thomas going through his sister's death as well and then being traded. Like that stuff, I feel and understand like that seems cold-hearted, but that was a move that they decided before those unfortunate things happened. But with this, like the players, you can't go out in the media and say that. If you want to have these discussions when you're out in LA having dinner, that's fine. But why do you need to bring it into the media? And why does that matter? And I think then you start handicapping these organizations. And when you bring up the fact that the Pelicans didn't build around AD, that's true. But let's look at New Orleans as a market. The only 2 stars that they've had were because they were bad. They got Chris Paul because they were bad. They got Anthony Davis because they were bad. They've never been able to draw in free agents. And let's look at the past 2 years. They went out and traded a very young star in Buddy Hield. He wasn't a star at that point, but now you can see the burgeoning of a star in Buddy Hield coming out for DeMarcus Cousins. Well, he's 26 years old, 24, 25.
He's older than Anthony Davis.
Okay. That's a very poignant way to put it, but he's still fairly young.
He's a great shooter. He's been in the league. I take nothing away from him.
He's been in the league less than Anthony Davis, so he's young in his NBA career. And they did that, and they went out and got DeMarcus Cousins to put next to Anthony Davis. They went out and got another star, and Boogie was a star at that point. And then you look at the moves. They went out and signed Julius Randle. They went out and got Nikola Mirotic. They've re-signed Drew Holiday. They have done the best of their abilities to keep him. And yes, they had to overextend. They gave Solomon Hill a way too expensive contract. Same with Amir Sheik. Like they tried to do their best to put stars around Anthony Davis, to put help around Anthony Davis. They just failed at getting the right players at points, which then handicapped them to do a better job to put pieces around him. They got to the playoffs last year. They got to the second round. They swept Portland, and that was without DeMarcus Cousins. They did a good job of putting pieces around him, especially in the past 3 years. I disagree with your point of New Orleans didn't do enough. They didn't do enough to win a championship, but with their situation and with their franchise, I think they did enough.
I think that not re-signing Boogie is going to haunt them. I think had Boogie re-signed with the Pelicans, had they offered him the money that he was looking for, Anthony Davis' situation is not even happening right now because he has a legit second star next to him. Drew Holiday is a great two-way player. He's a near all-star. Nothing's going to take away from that. But you can't tell me that Nikola Mirotic plus Randall equals Boogie.
But here's the thing that I will counter with, and some people can counter with the fact that even after DeMarcus left, this team did better. Then this team went on a run because of Anthony Davis.
They exchanged, basically. That was the difference, is Boogie and AD never really got to play together during the last year.
And the thing with that is then you went out and got Julius Randle, who was going to help you for the full season. You knew DeMarcus was going to be out until February. This was going to help you throughout because you saw what you did without AD. So let's get him a partner or at least another player who can be there for the full 82 games in Julius Randle and help you out. I think that was their plan was we're going to pay DeMarcus Cousins 18 or whatever it was, $20 million. I forget what he was looking for from New Orleans. Just for him to sit out until February. Well, we still have, in October to January to play and vie for a playoff spot. And right now, you saw what they did without DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, they're still outside of the playoffs right now.
Mid-level guys don't win championships.
And that's fair, but I don't think even with DeMarcus Cousins they were going to win a championship.
No, but you see DeMarcus Cousins come back, and I know there's no way to predict it, how he could have looked coming off of his injury. I'm just saying I predicted it, and I called that shit. How well DeMarcus would look coming off of his injury.
I'm sorry, when? Who was the person on the podcast last year saying that teams should be offering him a max?
Well,
and they'd be stupid not
to. I will say, Dave is the one when, and maybe you were like this too, but when I was saying, no, he ain't going to play till the playoffs, Dave kept saying January.
January. But I was saying that last year, they should be giving him max because it's DeMarcus Cousins.
That's fair.
Of course.
And I said that he was, at worst, he was going to come back at like 95%.
But here's the thing I want to say, and the DeMarcus Cousins thing is big, but the thing that is the crux to the Anthony Davis thing for me with this organization is since 2012. So 2012, they draft Anthony Davis.
Yep.
You look at every draft class after that. The 2013 draft class, they went ahead and took Nerlens Noel. Okay, cool. I can't bash you for that.
Philly.
But then traded it the next year to get Drew Holiday. And it's okay, Drew is still there. Yeah. That's a good one. But everything after that, the 2014 pick, they traded to get Mirotic, Caspi, cash considerations, gave that pick away. Could have had a first rounder.
But let's give context to that. Here's the thing. Ashik on that Bulls team was looking very good. It wasn't like he was a complete bust.
But I'm saying
they overpaid him.
But I'm still saying it's a bad, looking back at it, and of course hindsight's always 20/20. Bad move. Then you look at the 2018 pick where yes they go ahead and get Nikola from the Bulls, but they give up their first round pick last year, which turned in for us Chandler Hutchinson. I'm not saying they would have taken Hutch, but they could have drafted somebody in that first round. And then, like Dave said, they drafted Buddy Hield in there. They traded him away.
Yeah.
I know.
So they literally went from
that
having
one, you get DeMarcus Cousins, which is kind of that's the one where it's that and the Drew Holiday one I push over, but you're trading away draft picks for Mirotic and Nikola Mirotic.
But that's what I was trying to lay out with the small markets. That's what you need to do. And I apologize. Sheik went to Houston and then he went to New Orleans.
Yeah, they poison-pilled us.
Yeah, and he still helped him out. I mean, this was Sheik coming off 2012, 2013 in Houston, put up 10 and 11, and then a block a game as well.
So you're saying then smaller markets should trade their draft picks?
No, I'm not saying that you should trade their draft picks, but Anthony Davis came into the league and was already a stud.
Yeah.
So you needed to put veterans around him. Their idea was to put veterans around him so they could start winning. And also, this was a team as well that was struggling within their own city to stay alive. The ownership ended up moving to Charlotte. It was just lucky that the Saints ended up keeping the team in the NBA. Yeah. Anthony Davis was a Hornet at one point.
That's another thing. And I mean, I know that's a whole different thing, but the whole messed up thing about the Pelicans is their doctors, because the Saints are the ownership that looks over them, the doctors, and I heard this on the jump, the doctors that look after Anthony Davis when he gets injured, the Saints doctors. Football doctors are looking at basketball players. You would think
athletic doctor is an athletic doctor in my mind.
Football is a little bit different than basketball, though.
The treatment play with balls
is a different.
James Andrews treats every athlete.
Yeah, I say.
But you would think that I'm going to have doctors that specialize with basketball players compared to football players. I'm just going with it where we talk about most teams where how do they get good? They hit in the draft. And this ownership gave away their draft picks. What they should have done was we drafted AD. Okay, we're going to hit in the draft and get more good players in the draft.
What did Houston do?
To build around him.
They didn't hit in the draft.
I'm not saying like every team,
went through
but
free
like
agency.
we look
they
at like Golden
James
State.
Harden.
Golden State
they traded
did that.
for him. No, I'm just saying, to counter your point is the Houston Rockets right now are successful because they've made excellent moves in their front office. They've made great trades. They've made great pickups.
Because Daryl Morey is smarter than Dell Demps.
I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying there's not one path to success in the NBA. Well, building around draft picks is great if you can draft well. They traded 2 draft picks for 2 All-Stars. That's sort of hard to argue. The other picks I agree with, but like...
And here's the thing too with that 2013 NBA draft. Let's say they don't even trade for Drew, right? You have Nerlens, and then Ben McLemore, KCP, Trey Burke, CJ McCollum. Like, you have to go all the way down till 10 till you find a player that's, relevant in the NBA. And then you have Giannis at 15, but no one was going to pick Giannis that early. Then you look at the 2014 draft where they didn't have their pick. It was traded. Anyways, Philadelphia ended up picking Elfrid Payton at that point. And you look below him, like there's Dario in there, there's Levine, there's Warren, there's Nurkic, but there's, again, no all-stars down there. They didn't miss out on like anyone who would have helped them to win a championship at all. And then you go back to the next season and you look for the Pelicans, or at least New Orleans. I think they were the Pelicans at this point. The pick that went to the Rockets in that Ashik trade, it was Sam Dekker, and there's no all-stars below that at all.
Triple-Decker.
Like, there's no players that they missed out on. And the only player that they ended up taking that was possible, that's fringe all-star level, would be Buddy Hield, and then you traded him for DeMarcus Cousins.
The only thing I will say to that is the thing you can't look at is just because, this player went here and didn't go well. First off, that might not have been who the Pelicans took, and plus,
but I'm saying even if they didn't take them, the players that were available were still not all-stars.
But we don't know how they would have developed in New Orleans with Anthony Davis. Like, it could have been. We'll never get to that reality. We don't have a reality.
Less likely.
I do not.
Like, I'm not saying it's totally going to happen, but we never know what would happen.
I agree, but it's very unlikely that we would see Sam Dekker become an all-star, or become a competent, starting player.
Did you think Jerry Grant would be an all-star? Bobby Portis, Tyus Jones, like those are the players that are going behind him. It's not like they're going. Like the best player that went behind him.
If they had Bobby, I'm not saying Bobby is not an all-star player.
Dude,
but
get off of that. Come on,
Bobby's
barely getting minutes on the Bulls.
Man. He's a small ball center and with an old game and crazy eyes.
I love
him. But
maybe Levine hits his peak, quicker, and maybe he's a 20-point scorer, even earlier, and maybe he does take that crazy leap. Maybe T.J. Warren's able to play more of his game, but outside of that, again, maybe Gary Harris takes a little bit of a jump, but there's no players that you look and you're like, wow, look at the talent. I think the only player that you could probably make that argument for would be Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I think the thing to remember too is we're so far removed from when these years happened. Is there was, like Sean said, because Anthony Davis was so good coming into the league, there was an almost instant push to assemble a team around this guy because of how amazingly talented he was. Literally year 2 in the league was like, is this the guy who's going to take over for LeBron James? And it's been the same question, with KD jumping in, with Giannis jumping in, but Anthony Davis's name has lingered the entire time. Obviously he's been hurt and he's missed some games, but he has a unique skill set, an amazing body, and a really good basketball IQ. I think that you're forgetting of, around that time it was, you need to make moves to get talent around this guy because you are wasting his near prime. Like there is no way
and then
that
also,
you can afford to do this.
He had early injury history too.
And that's the thing.
You wanted to hit.
You can't
early
bank on him
things.
hitting prime at 27. Yeah. His best years as a big man might be 22 to 26.
Mm-hmm. And also, there was immediately when you drafted him, you saw how good he was. There's the immediate thought of what happened to Dwight Howard. He wanted out. What happened to Shaquille O'Neal? He wanted out. It ended up happening with Anthony Davis as well. He finally wants out of this small market. Like, typically, when guys are this good and they're bigs, and it's not like LeBron James out there where he can have the ball in his hands and put up 28, 7, and 7, it's tougher for Anthony Davis to do that because of his player type. And it's tough for those guys to be the centerpiece, the number one guy. I mean, you've said this multiple times on a podcast.
Can't build around a center.
You can't have the best player on a team be a center. So while I disagree with that, I think Anthony Davis is probably the exception. I think Jokic could be the exception as well. If we see and Embiid as well.
Jokic has some good guards around him, though.
Yeah, but who's the star on that team?
Right now, it'd be Jokic, but who knows? When they hit their peak, it might be.
You
Gary
answer
Harris.
my question. It's Jokic.
No,
definitely not going to be Gary Harris.
It could be
Jamal Murray.
It could be Murray, or it could be a Michael Porter.
I'm just throwing out a name, just because right now, I mean, it could change by the time they hit their peak.
There's a very large talent gap between Murray, Harris, and then Jokic. But what I will say is that just going off this and now back to the Boston stuff is just I think they did enough that they were trying. It wasn't like they weren't trying. It wasn't like they weren't going after.
It's not like
free
they
agents.
weren't trying, but they didn't. It wasn't smart moves in my mind. That's my opinion, but it wasn't smart moves.
It's
looking back at it.
Yeah, it's hindsight. It's hindsight that doesn't make trading for Amir Sheik look great. And again, you didn't really need a Sheik because again you had.
Well, the idea was to pair a Sheik as the low post. He can defend as well as Anthony Davis. So you'd have two guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God, where's this 2-center thing from? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they tried that again.
I don't know about you. I was happy. Me personally was happy when that happened.
And then also signing him 5 years, $60 million was not smart as well. And they also signed Agency as well. That didn't work out and pan out. But again, they didn't make the best moves. But again, I don't think that was in ill wish. I think they wanted to do their best, and they needed to. They felt pressure to make those moves. But let's get to the Boston stuff.
Let's talk why Boston's not going to get him.
Yeah, I mean the Boston stuff now. Well,
they could.
Well, let's talk because you're saying that you're offering less to the Pelicans for Anthony Davis. Well, then let's go to New Orleans. You're trying to maximize. We're trying to maximize Anthony Davis' potential in New Orleans. Now you're going to try to maximize his value. So if Boston's decreasing their value, why does that mean Boston would get them?
Because here's the moving parts we have. We already know that the Pelicans do not. Even though they've picked up the phone and they're talking to him, the Pelicans do not want to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers at all costs.
Don't know that.
No. From not answering the phone to now answering the phone and saying, "Oh, but we don't like the assets you have." The Pelicans, at all costs, this ownership, this GM front office, does not want to send him to the Lakers in the West. So that right away tells me Boston is still, they have a chip in the game. However, this whole quote from Anthony Davis Sr., you might think oh man, Danny Ainge he's scrambling. Oh, what am I going to do now? No, cool as a cucumber. He's sitting there going, great. I'm glad he said this because now I can say, well, hey, he's not going to sign with us long term. Why would I give up Jason Tatum in this trade? I'm already giving you all these draft picks. Why am I going to give you a Jason Tatum if he's not going to sign long term? And if I'm Boston, I use this to leverage that to pull off the Danny Ainge type of trade that we have seen in recent history and get Anthony Davis in, because once Anthony Davis is in the door, it could be a Paul George situation. Remember, Paul George, I'm going to L.A. after this year. Oh, it's not that bad here in Oklahoma City. I think I'm going to stay.
That's different than I don't want to go play for this team because of what they've done. That was, I've got nothing against OKC. I just want to go play in LA. I think it's a different
yet again,
That's
Anthony Davis could go there and then be like, hey, you know what? It's not that bad here. I had a bad image of this team, and now it's changed.
That's fine, and it still could happen. But I think Dave's point is the fact that Paul George's family members weren't saying, going out and bashing what Danny Ainge did to Isaiah Thomas.
The only way they're doing this is to
Kawhi
get him to
Leonard's
LA.
cousin or uncle. What's his fucking name?
It's his uncle.
But what's his uncle's name? Whatever. Uncle Lenny or whatever. He wasn't going out and bashing Masai Ujiri. He wasn't doing that. Yes, the options are still available for Kawhi Leonard to go back to Los Angeles. We still don't know what he's going to do. But he wasn't vital in attacking the team that might be trading him. What's the word?
Volatile.
Vital.
No.
He wasn't vital.
No, you're talking you're a volatile situation.
Yeah.
Oh, volatile.
Yeah. Whatever. Not.
Okay. Sorry, I just thought.
I know how to say vital. I don't know how to say vital.
I just keep it weirded out by the way you say it. I was like, what?
Anyways, I don't think there was the same attacks. This coming from Anthony Davis Sr. and then also Shams coming out and saying that Davis thinks of this as a short-term option, I think that means a ton. And I think that means you're not going to trade a Jason Tatum for him. Maybe that just means Jaylen Brown's out there. But that means you're going to decrease the package from Boston to get Anthony Davis, which I think would be smart because you're not going to give up a guy who's probably a future All-Star in Jason Tatum for Anthony Davis, who would be there for a year. Because, yes, Davis would help you in that, that next year for sure more than Tatum would, without a doubt. But, again, you need to think of the long term of this franchise. And Danny Ainge has done that in so many moves to make sure the future of this franchise was great. Not just winning a title, 2 years from now or next year, whatever. He's trying to make sure this is a title and a franchise and a dynasty that lasts a very long time.
Yeah, I just look at it where the whole dad comments is basically I'm going to use a real life example for me where the real life job that I'm at right now, at first when I saw it, I was like, man, I don't want to go there. That's not a situation that I want to see myself in. Now that I'm there, I'm like, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought. And I think that's what it's like. They're looking from the outside going, you know what? They don't like their players and they don't care about them. Look at what they did to Isaiah Thomas. Who knows? If he's traded there, might have a different kind of situation, and AD might say, hey, you know what? I kind of do want to sign him.
And that's a fair point. But also, you can also look at Boston in general, and I think they didn't move on from Bill Russell when he was the star there. They didn't move on from Larry Bird. They let him retire as a Boston Celtic. But then once you get back into the 2000s era, and I know this was different because Brooklyn came with the crazy trade, but they didn't let Paul Pierce retire as a Boston Celtic.
You can't pass that up.
And I think they consulted Paul, but that's something that was a little iffy. Then you obviously look at the Isaiah Thomas stuff. Do they have a commitment to making these long-term commitments and letting their star players, their franchise guys, retire as Boston Celtics? Because then you could look on the flip side in LA, the only franchise player that didn't retire as a Laker would be Shaq. Because Kobe, they rode that way too long.
But that's loyalty.
Paul Pierce,
that's loyalty.
That's the thing.
He technically retired as a Celtic.
Who?
Paul Pierce.
They'd shipped him out of town.
No, they shipped him, but then he signed his ceremonial contract and he retired at Boston.
They literally traded away the guy that got them another championship.
That's what I was.
They're we're done with these old guys. Get them out.
I'm saying
and it was the best move of the franchise in the last 20 years.
Oh, I'm not bashing the move,
but no, it's. Still
I'm just trying to point out they didn't ride Paul Pierce until he wasn't untradeable.
Exactly.
Dirk right now, I know he has no trade value, but he's untradeable. They were not going to trade Dirk Nowitzki.
Yep.
Paul Pierce had more of a similar ending to Vince Carter. Vince obviously wasn't as beloved as Paul Pierce was.
Journeyman.
Boston obviously went Toronto, New Jersey, then I think Orlando, and then just fucking Maverick Suns.
Just everywhere.
But I think that you look at Paul Pierce, then he obviously went Brooklyn, Washington, then L.A. But looking at the Lakers, was my point, is they rode Kobe for way too long. They got rid of Shaq because Kobe was their guy. He was younger. He was better. Then you look at Magic. They rode Magic and helped him come back, in 96 as well. They rode Kareem. They rode Wilt. They rode Jerry as well. These guys stayed forever. And I'm not saying that, obviously different ownerships through all those, years. And I'm not saying that the Boston Celtics would not do that. And are you can only look at the past two guys in Isaiah Thomas and Paul Pierce. And even then, Isaiah Thomas is a pretty weak franchise guy compared to Larry Bird, Paul Pierce, and fucking Bill Russell.
He was a flash in the pan player. He was so good for such a short amount of time.
I think that is fair to bring up the fact that, again, this is you looking on the outside, looking in. But I think that still doesn't change what they're saying now and the fact that Boston is going to decrease their offer. So, yes, Anthony Davis could change his mind. But if I am Danny Ainge, I'm definitely reconsidering giving up Jason Tatum in this deal because that could still leave the possibility of Jason Tatum just being a New Orleans Pelicans and Anthony Davis leaving me in 2020. That's my thought. Dave, let's wrap up the Celtic talk at least.
I think that it's going to be a long shot. I agree with you on the lowered offer is scary, but at the same time, like you said, if they can bring him in next year, there's no telling what the Warriors will look like, which means they've got probably one of the top 5 chances of going for a championship, which pretty great odds. It would be
especially if KD goes to New York.
Unfortunately, if Kyrie goes to New York too.
That too.
But we'll touch on that later.
Yeah.
I just think that it is a risk, but they have the assets to pull the trigger. And I think at some point I'm coming close to the point of shit or get off the pot. Like, you guys have all these picks. You can either ride it out and fully roll through and just develop a shit ton of talent, but you got so much talent on your team right now that some of the later picks haven't got time to develop. And that's where I'm like, all right, so this is clearly to move these picks to go get established talent. So do it. There's not going to be much more. There's not going to be many better
They got to stay on
established
the pot
talent
till the
than
offseason,
Anthony
though.
Davis.
That's what I was going to bring up, was the fact that I don't know who else is going to be the next star that tries to push their way out of a situation. Because you look at the top 15 players, I don't think Harden's moving. LeBron's definitely not moving.
Mm-hmm.
KD might move as a free agent, but you're not going to be able to trade for him. All those assets you've built up. You're not gonna,
Yeah.
But again, that means KD wants to sign there, and I don't think KD wants to sign there, or I don't think he's going to be interested in signing there. We never know, but I'm just saying most likely that's not going to happen.
Right.
I'm just talking strictly in trades.
Yeah.
Like, there's not many guys that haven't already been traded, haven't already been moved, or are just going to be free agents this year.
Now,
so what guys would you be able to go out and get after outside of Anthony Davis? I think that's a very fair point that you made. What package would you be comfortable giving up, Dave?
I would I'm good for Jason. No, Jason Tatum is just it's close because I think that's what it takes to get it done, regardless of the statements that have been made publicly. I think that the Pelicans wouldn't pull the trigger without Tatum in there. Yeah. But I think they could probably go in with an offer starting at Jaylen Brown, Rozier, and what you need like Morris in there.
Rozier's a little iffy because he'll need to. Morris is a free agent. And then Rozier is going to be a RFA.
Right.
But
you need to balance the contract, is what I'm saying. So you need to add in,
but it's
I think,
be
like Morris in there. But
off season, so they're going to have to deal with that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
I'm thinking before deadline.
No, because they won't be able to do it with Kyrie.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's like when you were like, shit off out of the pot. I'm like, hey, they got to wait till the offseason.
But the point you're trying to make is the fact that you were not willing to give up Tatum.
I don't think that they want to give up Tatum for it, but I think that's what it would take for the Pelicans to move him.
Okay, we'll get to which package would you take a little bit later. Let's move to the Lakers, obviously the place that AD wants to go. The offer that I think was thrown out there was Lonzo, Ingram, Zubac, and then a first-round pick. I think that was the latest I saw from the LA Times. Might be different, but I do not think Kuzma was in there, and I do not think Hart was in there. So Zoe, Ingram, Zubac, and then the first-round pick. What do you think of this for the Lakers? Is this enticing if you are the New Orleans Pelicans, Ricky? Do you think that this is a very good offer, or would you wait into the offseason until Boston might be able to offer up Jason Tatum? Is this something that is a pull the trigger now on an Anthony Davis move if you're the Pelicans? Because obviously the Lakers would want to do it.
If I'm the Pelicans, and obviously the two trades that I came up with were before the Lonzo news about him picking New York or Chicago is where I want to go.
That can always be figured out.
That can always be figured out. But the two that I came up with included Lonzo going somewhere else. But if I'm the Pelicans, when it comes to the Lakers, if I'm this ownership, I'm kind of stubborn with it. I'm going, you know what? If you want this deal to go through, I need B.I., I need Kuzma. If they like Zubac and want him in, I need him, and I need Lonzo, and I need picks. Without all three of them, no dice.
4.
No dice. Well, 4 with Zubac. No dice. And the Pelicans could technically do that to the Lakers because it's like, how much do you really want him? Because he's not, we could do this next year. We still have him under contract next year. We don't have to move him now. You know what? If you don't want to do that, we'll just see what Boston will do in the offseason. It's okay, Magic. It's okay.
I think that's fair. The only thing I would say is if you trade for him now, you do have more control over them. I mean,
exactly.
Obviously that doesn't mean anything because, you're getting half a season instead of, the full season and next year. But still, those, 30 games could be integral to, just getting them into the system and playing with Drew Holiday. Dave, what do you think at least about the trade? For the Pelicans, are those guys that you can build around and make a franchise out of? And at least Ingram, Zubac, and then that pick that's going to be coming from the Lakers, because obviously Zoe doesn't want to be playing in New Orleans because he doesn't fit with Holiday in his mind.
I think he would fit great with Holiday, but you know what? It's not a big enough brand for
He just wants the market.
What do you think, though, at least for Ingram as the centerpiece of a AD deal?
I would love to see Ingram be able to run a team and do his own thing 100%. He's got a weird mid-range game that a lot of people want to disrespect because basically he got put alongside LeBron, and it's not worked out with both of them on the court. So people think he has like regressed this year when LeBron's on the court because he doesn't stand behind the 3-point line and shoot, and that's not his game. And forcing him to do that makes him look really bad. So on the court performance, not so hot lately. So I think people have kind of cooled on Ingram, but I think he still has the talent. He still has the body to play. I would be intrigued to see him on Pelicans team where he can be a centerpiece. I think that's the right way to treat him. I think he's still got a ton of potential. I think he's definitely still up there. I don't know if I really care. Like Zubac's just whatever. Like I don't value him. He is a backup center in my mind. Top end, that's nothing. Pick, I don't know. It's okay, but what are you gonna do with picks? I mean, that's the question. This Pelicans team, are they going to do a full fire sale? Is my expectation. Are you moving Nico? Are you moving Drew? Are you moving AD all in the same period of time? Or is this just we're going to move AD out and then we're going to try to quick rebuild? Like, are they going to pull one of those on us? As a Bulls fan, I can say quick rebuild out loud and not be made fun of. But that's my thing is the direction of Pelicans determines what the best deal is. If they want to go for a full rebuild, you take the picks and you take the potential and you'd be happy with it. But if they want to just build around Drew Holiday and try to compete again, in the near future, then I think they're looking at a different set of assets.
And just staying with the Lakers, because I think we'll get into what other teams should they look at, and what other assets should they look at. The one thing that I do want to mention, because if they do make that trade, and Lonzo does end up playing for the Pelicans, Ingram does play for the Pelicans, Kuzma ends up playing for the Pelicans, you look just at the 2017-2018 Lakers, because that's what you're making, you will have one of the better lineups from that team, the fourth best lineup from the Lakers in 2017-2018 was Lonzo Ball, KCP, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and Randall per 100 possessions in 97 minutes. They were plus 15.2 points per game per 100 possessions. Then you look at their next one. It had Ingram, Randall, Hart, KCP, Lopez. That was plus 10. And then the sixth best lineup was Lonzo, KCP, Ingram, Lopez, and Randall. So
who even cares about Randall? You got Ja.
You have Ja, but I think at least the connection of having Randall there, you saw Ingram being able to move the ball a little bit more because again you're playing up, you're playing quicker, you're playing faster.
Lonzo,
and
defensively, Lonzo, Drew, and Bi all together. That is disgusting.
And apparently Ja as well. He's been a great rim protector. He does not give a ton of effort. I was joking.
I know. He had that one game.
Some people might take that. Yeah, the 6-block game. But let's go into the direction of what they should go into, because obviously we'll get back to the Lakers because that's most likely is.
Can I pull a classic Ricky move?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a trade.
Okay, great.
So it's a 3-team trade: Lakers, Pelicans, and Bulls. And I'm just spitballing this in my head. So
go slow.
The Lakers would get AD. That's all they get.
Okay.
The Bulls would get Lonzo. That's all they get. The Pelicans, they get Rolo from the Bulls. They get Bi, Lance Stevenson, Kyle Kuzma, Zubac. And then what I'm thinking pick-wise is, and this is the question of will this work? So question is, would the Lakers be able to give their 2019 and the Bulls can give their 2019? That works?
Yeah, why?
Because they're from two different teams?
Yeah, why
well, because I didn't know about the back-to-back years. That's only with one team, right?
As long as the Bulls...
Here's the thing.
Yes, it works.
Okay.
I'll just keep it
so
simple. Yes.
The thing I would add to the Pelicans is they would get the Lakers...
Let me explain it. The Celtics have the Grizzlies and Kings pick. So, yes. It's
so
fair.
The Lakers would give their pick this year to the Pelicans. The Bulls would give theirs, but it would be a top 5 protection on that pick.
Zero chance they do a top 5 protection like that.
Well, no. But if I'm the Bulls, the only way I'm giving that up. Otherwise, I'm giving my 2020 pick.
But here, then put it this way: you're trading a top 5 protected pick. So if you get
Robin
fucked,
Lopez.
And Robin Lopez, which is a very big contract that you're just going to let.
Yeah.
Well, it's a 1 year.
But I'm saying that freeing up 14 is big. And does that work salary cap wise?
Yes, it does.
How?
It works because
I'm just curious.
So the Pelicans would take on 27.8 because they have trade exceptions for Kuzma.
And they're giving up 23.
They're giving up 25, and then the Lakers the Bulls give up the 14, but they only take in 7.5.
Okay, I guess they hit the floor then. I just think that is big because you're giving up. You're not giving up. Your $14 million could be huge, at least getting rid of for the Bulls. And
the reason why the Pelicans could take on more is they could use for Kuzma and Zubac. They would use about $1.5 million each.
Yeah, I was more confused about the Bulls
Cunningham.
giving up 14 and only taking up like 5 or whatever is for Lonzo. That's all I was wondering. I keep that trade around because I don't think it's horrible at all. I think that's what we're going to base it off.
Robin Lopez and a protected first for Lonzo Ball.
Well, they would get 2 firsts this year. They would get the thing is with the Bulls.
Break it down to just Pelicans to Bulls. That's what he's saying.
Pelicans to Bulls. The Pelicans would give nothing to the Bulls and get Rolo, who's off the books next year.
Lonzo Ball to the Bulls.
Sure, they would give Lonzo Ball, but
that's
really,
what I'm saying.
in my mind, he's going from the Lakers to the Bulls. Never touches the Pelicans. But yeah, so they would give Lonzo to the Bulls. They get Rolo, and really, it would be a 2020 first round pick because if I'm the Bulls, if you want me to put the 2019 in there, I'm going top 5 protected, and the way I look at it is, you could run the risk of falling out, but the Bulls are at 12 wins.
What Dave is saying is just that's a lot to give up for Lonzo.
I'm saying, is that enough to give up for Lonzo?
Really?
And that's the thing I was worried about. What the Pelicans want
because you're clearing up, because then you're giving them a contract that's going to clear up $14 million in cap space. Then you're also giving them a top 10 pick for sure.
Right, but we were literally a week ago talking about just cutting Robin Lopez so he could go play with like the Warriors or some shit.
Or Jabari.
Like, if Wendell Carter didn't go down, that would have already happened. So I think that's kind of interesting that we're basically just saying like, all right, so you guys give us Lonzo and you can have a 2020 pick for it. It's almost just like...
But it's the Bulls' 2020 pick. And do you think the Bulls are... What?
What?
What'd you say?
It'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be a good pick.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it will be a good pick.
Do you think Lonzo has no value? He's a 6'5" point guard with amazing defense.
They're gonna get
and good facilitation.
Did you say it's unprotected, Ricky?
No, I'm saying, so basically what I'm saying is it's going to be a 2020 first round pick because...
Unprotected.
Either unprotected 2020 or a top 5 protected 2019 pick, which in my mind would convey to the 2020 pick because... What I'm looking at now, I don't see Memphis catching us, but that's a risk. Memphis is 6, and they're, 6 games back of us?
Let's say that doesn't convey. Then you get the Bulls' unprotected 2020 pick.
Yeah.
The Bulls aren't going to be good in 2020.
We're probably not going to be great.
So that means you have the possibility of getting the number 1 pick for Lonzo Ball.
No, because Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, question mark still. I could say Hutch.
We could still move Chris Dunn.
Chris Dunn and
Wendell
Carter. Like that ain't terrible.
Who's their coach?
That's
Mark Jackson.
Who's their front office?
Yeah, Mark Jackson. If we get Mark Jackson,
Mark Jackson's their head coach.
It's an upgrade over Jim Boylan, but I still hate Mark Jackson.
We could pull a Nets Kings-esque run where we're just not the worst team. I don't know. I think that core would actually be pretty good because you need a defense like the Chris Dunn next to Zach.
This core was going to be good. It wasn't. It's been a train wreck.
Well,
it's been a one of the worst teams in the
We need
NBA.
a fearless leader.
And you still have Jerry Reinsdorf and Michael. I'm not turning this into a Bulls thing, but
we're gonna talk about them later.
But this is bad. This team's gonna be bad next year.
Probably.
I will place the under on 20 wins for them next year.
I will go over.
They can have guys who can score.
Drop money on it? I'll drop it.
We'll wait. Okay. To just see what actually happens.
The question
after the trade deadline, we'll make that bet.
Let me throw this out. Let's put it to the Lakers.
After when the season starts, because I need to know who the fucking head coach is going to be and who's their GM going to be.
Regardless of that.
No, because I'm not. Because if they don't have Jim Boylan, that gives them +5 wins already.
Here's the question I'll throw out. So with this. Lonzo, B.I., Stevenson, Kuzma, Zubac, and a 2019 first. Stupid question. If you're a Lakers fan, are you sitting there going like, man, 80 is good, but do we have to give up all that? Do we have to give up all that to get? No, I know, but like, is someone going to sit
Kuzma,
there?
You keep Hart. Yes, please.
No, Kuzma's in this deal. I
still don't care.
Yeah, Kuzma would go to the Pelicans.
You have Anthony Davis.
You have Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
2 top 5 players, possibly 2 top 3.
You have room to pick up another one.
Exactly, because he's only $20 million, $23 million. Let's go to what they should be looking for in the Pelicans. This is going to be a long first segment. What should they be looking for? Should they be looking for young players like Jason Tatum, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, etc., or should they be looking for veteran players, maybe like a Gary Harris out in Denver, maybe like a Pascal Siakam who's a little more aged in Toronto? What should they be looking for in a trade in your mind?
I think they go pure potential. Give me lottery picks. Let me go at it and do a full rebuild. Like I don't want them to try to be a quick rebuild around Drew Holiday and Randall. Like that's, I don't even know if Randall's a long-term piece there because he signed a
2-year deal, I believe he signed.
It was a 1-and-1, I thought.
I'll check.
Thank you. And I just wonder, like, what would the benefit of that be? You look at the West, and I don't understand how anyone can possibly think outside of the top 4 teams.
Drew Holiday has 2 years and then a player op.
That's not how he's talking about.
Julius Randle.
Oh, okay.
Julius Randle signed for 2 years, $17 million with a player option.
Yeah. So would that be
1-1?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. But unless you're a top team in the West, there's zero chance that a team could rebuild quickly enough to compete around Drew Holiday. So no, I think that you sell the farm. You go, look, we can go get a bunch of young talent and assets. Whether if you go the rumors about the Philly deal or whatever you want to put out there for Drew Holiday, he's got good value. Anthony Davis has good value. You could turn this team around and get a bunch of guys. Whether you take the LA package or the Celtic package, I'd be happy with one of those. And I would move Drew Holiday. I would see if anybody wants Nico to help fill in for a playoff push. I would just fire sale. Like, this is a team that could flip over from having 2 All-Stars basically this year. Did Drew actually get in or he got snubbed?
He did not get it.
So he got a snub. From having Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday into having basically just a bunch of kids in the under 25 and then a gluttony of draft picks in the upcoming years.
Because you brought it up, I just want to ask you your thought on it because we didn't get it before the podcast. But what you had mentioned, in case no one knows, is Brandon Robinson tweeted, and I got this from our boy Jake, where apparently the Sixers offered Fultz, Zaire, Wilson Chandler, not Winston Chandler, Wilson
I'm
Chandler.
going to roll with Winston because that's you.
And a 2021 draft pick
From the Heat.
The Heat.
For Drew Holiday.
Just keep. Okay, answer the deal. Would you do that?
If I'm the Pelicans?
Yeah. Pelicans, yeah.
Yeah, I pulled the trigger on that.
See, here's the thing: is I don't think that was an actual trade offer because the 76ers aren't stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Markelle Fultz, who is not playing for you. You have Zaire Smith, who just went through something very tragic. I don't know. Obviously he's struggling. He's going to be back apparently on February 7th in the G League. But how is he going to help you this year? And then you look at Wilson Chandler.
No,
Jesus
just roll.
Christ.
We're rolling with Ricky.
Winston. Fuck it. Winston
He's
Chandler.
Winston Chandler.
I mean, he's not a piece that's going to help you win this year. I mean, like, you need depth on that team. The Sixers, and they're strongly lacking that. But you're clearing up space as well to just sign somebody who might be better than Wilson Chandler. And then that 2021 pick, it is valuable. But again, you're going for a championship, and Drew Holiday can help you win a championship.
Here's spaces.
They're not
he plays
stupid.
Defense.
Here's the only question I throw into that.
That might be the best defensive team in the league.
If that, and we're going on the if that trade is true, the only reason why I think about making that, if I'm the Pelicans, if I'm looking at it and saying, hey, I'm getting rid of AD anyways, like the sky is falling, why not roll the dice on a Markelle? Why not roll on a Smith? And then tank your pick, which is right now top 10, to try to get closer to that top 5.
Let the kids play.
You're going to take naturally.
Yeah,
you're going to take naturally once you get rid of the
no, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Drew alone can kind of keep you, like, you'll fly a little bit up, maybe 9-8, but like you'll stay almost in the same range. Whereas if you get rid of both of them, boom.
Yeah, Washington's basically at what, 9?
8.
8
Detroit's
because
at
Bradley
9.
Beal.
And here's the thing:
he's one man carrying. Blake is one man carrying Detroit. I don't care about Andre Drummond, but like it's just Blake.
You can
so if
Jackie
you remove
Moon. No,
both
you got
of those
it. No, I got
players,
it.
they will absolutely.
The thing is that they need to find a deal right now for Anthony Davis that's going to work for them before they trade all these players. Because if Anthony Davis if they find a trade for Anthony Davis, which we're trying to figure out in the segment. They're going to trade Drew Holiday as before the trade deadline. They're going to get rid of him as quick as possible because that's going to be the highest value he's going to have. They're going to get rid of Julius Randle. Who wouldn't want Julius Randle for $9 million and a player option that he's going to decline? And if he doesn't, you get him for $8 million. That sounds pretty damn good to me. A bench 5 in Julius Randle who gives a ton of effort and hustle out there, he's not the greatest player out there, but a bench center that does that for you, I think that'd be extremely interesting. And he moves the ball as well. You're going to trade Mirotic because Mirotic off the bench for a team could be great. Maybe include him on that Philly deal as well. Him coming off the bench for Philly, kind of like a Dario situation. Yeah. That'd be extremely interesting. You're also getting April Nico, which we know he balls the fuck out. We saw what happened last time he moved teams. They're going to sell the farm without a doubt, because they're going to try to get Zion Williamson. They're going to try to tank this team. They're going to let the young guys play. That's the clear thing. But you need to find a trade for Anthony Davis, and you cannot rush that. And that's the one thing is...
Can you?
No.
The Lakers one that was supposedly on the table was not too far off of something I would accept.
But the question is...
Do you believe in their scouting?
But the question is, guys? Let's go now to the overarching of what you should do. Yep. You're saying that they should go young, right?
Absolutely.
Ricky, I know 100%. You're saying they should go young.
We're 2 cares.
So let's look at this. What player helps your team and your future more? Is it Brandon Ingram and pieces, or is it Jason Tatum and draft picks? I personally could not pass up the Tatum. We already laid out the thing with, maybe they decline their offer a little bit. Maybe they pull back and don't offer Jason Tatum. But if Tatum is out there, I want to hear it from Boston. And we're not going to hear it from Boston until it's legal in the offseason. And I think if you are the New Orleans Pelicans, you have to wait on that.
See, and that's...
Because Drew Holiday's still going to be valuable next year.
And that's the thing. Sure. If I'm the Pelicans... I am pushing, like the Lakers, I'm almost just kind of fucking with them all. Like this last week, I'm just going to mess with them where it's basically like, nope, not good enough. Just to see how juicy I can get that offer. Like, and then if the Lakers offer something where you're like, man, that's a Nets offer. I cannot pass that up. Then pull the trigger. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Well, I just don't think they can ever give them a Nets deal because the thing is that yes, LeBron James is getting older, but you're still going to have Anthony Davis on that team.
The thing I want to throw out there is
literally anything,
and another max contract who you're probably going to sign Kyrie.
We're looking at 2 teams. I got 2 dark horses for you and 2 projected trades. Sure. One's the Raptors.
Yep.
If they offer, throw any pick packages you want to throw in with this, but if they give Serge, Siakam, and OG.
No. Get rid of Siakam, Serge, and put in Valanciunas.
Well, or Valanciunas, either one of those. Or Denver, with Denver, you can get a Gary Harris, who's young, Michael Porter Jr., which kind of on the Markel Zaire front of like, yeah, he hasn't played, but the potential.
Yeah.
And then in Isaiah Thomas to make the contract work for AD.
If I'm the Pelicans, I'm flipping Harris from Murray because he's younger and has more potential.
Well, but would Denver want to give up Murray over Harris?
I don't care. I have the power. I have Anthony Davis. You don't. I want Jamal Murray.
I'm asking, if you're Denver, would you give up Jamal Murray?
My thing was, I would get rid of Isaiah Thomas and make it Porter Jr. and Millsap. Get rid of Millsap's contract because I think he's got a team option anyways, and he's going to be redundant. You don't need him. So I would obviously include Millsap. You clear up contract because again he has a team option for next year, and then you look at Michael Porter Jr. I personally wouldn't. I love Jamal Murray too much. He's young. He fits that timeline, and I know obviously Anthony Davis is much better than Jamal Murray, but I'm going to do my best to keep on and hold on to him and try to make it so sure that it's Millsap, Harris, and Porter Jr. deal because I do not want to give up Jamal Murray, especially if I know that AD is going to be leaving the next year. That's why I don't want to give up Julius Randle if he's going to be leaving next year. That's why the only team that I think is possible for him to go to is the Los Angeles Lakers. If a player wants to follow the get me the fuck out of this town and get me to that town, follow what Anthony Davis is running right now. Push them into the pressure and this is a very unique situation where the Boston Celtics, who can offer the best package, cannot do so because of the Rose Rule. You're playing with the perfect storm here because you gave them 2 weeks to rush. You gave them...
You gave your 2 weeks notice.
You closed off their best option, and you arguably are just screwing every other team that cannot be in the situation of win this year, and then next year you're just up for grabs pretty much. Because if you give up Anthony Davis and you have Kawhi and Anthony Davis in Toronto next year, that'd be great, right? But it's not a for sure certain thing that Kawhi's going to stay. Yeah. And yes, you have Anthony Davis, but then Anthony Davis is just going to leave you the next year. And you look at the Nuggets, you have Jokic, you have Anthony Davis, and you have let's say Jamal Murray. Are those 3 going to take down the Warriors if Kevin Durant stays? No, I think they still need time.
And I know rumors are rumors, but the rumors say that right now Kawhi might be leaning towards the Clippers in free agency.
I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
But I just think that if anything's going to happen before the trade deadline, it's the Lakers, and it's only Lakers. Yeah. And I don't think anything else is going to be on the table. I think that it's going to happen in the offseason because I don't think the Pelicans are stupid. They're going to get the most in the offseason.
Watch it happen tomorrow.
Because the Lakers,
I hope so. I hope it goes to the Lakers.
The Lakers are still going to give up that same package next year. That package is not going to get any worse because you could do that trade on draft day. And shit, that draft pick's still gonna be the same draft pick you traded for in February.
Unless the Lakers pull a Derrick Rose and they go from the 14th pick all the way to 1 and they add Zion to the deal.
They can't because they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, if they're not.
They will be.
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, is that if I'm the Pelicans, I'm not even waiting until the Anthony Davis thing. I'm trading Drew Holiday. I'm trading Julius Randle. I'm trading Nikola Mirotic. Your ass wants to be out. We didn't give you help. We're not giving you help now. We're trading away your help. And you're not going to play.
Fire sale.
John's going to put up numbers.
I can't wait.
The biggest numbers.
Final thoughts, Dave.
The biggest.
Billions. I agree. This has been one of those interesting trade deadline rundowns. The KP situation just kind of messes with this even more. We didn't talk about it tonight, but it was the whole he came out, he's like, I don't want to play for this team because you guys want to lose and I don't want to do that and get me out of here. And guess what? Came out that was one of the locations that he would have been okay with going to. AD would have been okay with going to not to Boston. Yeah, to New York. So I think that's kind of funny. Another player forcing his way out of town, obviously.
But with New Orleans wanted Kristaps, but also Kristaps would not want New Orleans.
Exactly. Ain't that a B? No, I think it's fun. I think AD is probably going to end up a Laker. I'm hoping it happens by trade deadline. I think I'm hoping the package gets pulled, and that's what it is.
The league steps in and goes classic. Nope, can't happen.
I would. Adam Silver's been such a good dude.
It's a New Orleans LA trade. Can't happen. The last thing the perfect thing I saw today is a tweet that's like, NFL, can you at least give us Super Bowl week? NBA, I don't know anybody's shit.
Good one. Final thing with and Super Bowl's going to dominate on Sunday. I don't think the NFL cares.
I don't know. Anthony Davis to the Lakers trade happens on Sunday. A billion people watching
it where the finals get like
That'd
30.
Be amazing.
Anyways, my final thoughts is what you said is kind of exactly what I was trying to sum up with the Pelicans, that they couldn't get them help because no one wanted to go to New Orleans. So Kristaps, a player that's not even under contract with New Orleans, it was just an idea. They already knew that they weren't going to get a player of that level to stay there. So they need to get guys like Amir Sheik, who had some good years, and maybe he'll even grow a little bit more, and that's the guys we're going to take shots on. Drew Holiday, rookie deal. We're going to have to keep him around. And he even said 90% of the reason why he stayed was because of Anthony Davis. So, if he didn't have a star, you'd be losing a top 10 guard, or a top at least 15 guard.
Yeah.
If we're talking both point guard and shooting guard. Yeah. Top 15, top 10 guard. You wouldn't have had that guy. You need to take risk when you are small markets like New Orleans, especially one that isn't a flourishing market, the one that consistently doesn't have sellouts. That's the biggest problem with New Orleans. And you see it in just trade talks this year. You see it in the way that they haven't been able to build around Anthony Davis. It's tough to be a small market team like that. And if I'm the New Orleans Pelicans, I'm going to trade Drew Holiday for Markelle Fultz because I don't know what Markelle Fultz can be, but he's young and he might want to stay because we gave him a home that was, at least a little bit more secluded and wasn't in the middle of Philadelphia. I want to try to get Brandon Ingram because I want to see if he can be the focal point of my team because he is young. And hey, maybe he will like the team that we're building around and the youthfulness around this team. Those are the shots you have to take. And if if all else fails, you can possibly trade a Brandon Ingram on a rookie deal contract, or have him on RFA. So I shouldn't even say that. We're not talking about the fucking New York Knicks here. But this is a team that I think that they're going to struggle to at least build consistently, and the only way they're going to do it is through the draft and through young players. So at least get to that as quick as possible, but do not rush it when it comes to AD because you can possibly see a better deal in the offseason, and you need to wait on that. Because if the Bulls come knocking with a Zion Williamson, you cannot turn that down. If the Knicks come knocking with their pick for Zion Williamson, you cannot turn that down. If Boston somehow fucking gets it, you cannot turn that down. It's as simple as that. I don't think Boston can get it just because, the Kings thing would... No, because the Kings, if it's number one, it goes to Philly, right? Mm-hmm. So
that too.
And Boston's taken out.
And then Philly gets AD.
Anyways, that's fuck. Whoa.
Bye, Jimmy. Hello, AD.
That's just my thought is that it's tough for New Orleans. They're in a bad situation, and you just have to try to get out of it as quickly as possible, but also as smart as you possibly can. So let us know your thoughts on the AD situation down in the comments below.